Folks, between today and May 4th, there are the World Zionist Organization's elections. It is the largest body representing the entirety of the Jewish people. Democratically elections. There have been elections every 5 years since 1897 when Herzl founded the World Zionist Congress. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I am here to tell you you should vote and who the groups running are. Remember, these are extremely important elections. It only takes a few minutes. You got to register. You got to pay $5 and you have your say. This organization, this body will decide the fate of $1 billion a year. It's going to decide how to allocate it, how to spend it on Jewish life, on the state of Israel. And there are different organizations, each of which has very, very important ideas. And I'm going to go through those different ideas for you. I just wanted to say there's 500 delegates in this body. 152 are representing American Jewry. Last time there were elections, only 100,000 Americans voted. So make sure you have your voice heard, make sure you vote, and make sure you remind others to vote. We cannot have a situation like last time where only 100,000 American Jews voted. I want to see at least 500,000 out of 7 million Jews voting in this election, making sure our voices are heard and that we have our say on the future of the Jewish people in alphabetical order. I will be going through the different groups, telling you about each and every one of them, and you make your decision on your own. Going alphabetically, the first one is called Achdut Yisrael, the Unity of Israel. It was founded post-October 7 to foster unity between different parts of the Jewish people, between Jews in the diaspora, Jews in Israel. I don't know exactly how they distinguish themselves because we're all for Jewish unity, but Achdut Yisrael is especially for Jewish unity. That is the first group. The next one is the AID Coalition. AID stands for American Israel Democracy. You know who these people are. They stood out in the past 2 years protesting for Israeli democracy against judicial reform. These are people who are concerned not only for the state of the Jewish state of the state of Israel as a Jewish state, but also as a democratic state. That's why it's called AID, America, Israel, Democracy. They are focused on preserving Israel as a Jewish state and a democratic state. The next is Eish Ha'am. You may have seen this on social media because incredible people like Shabbos Kestenbaum, like Lizzie Savetsky, people who've been fighting anti-Semitism on the streets, and 4-hour people are on this list. Eish Ha'am runs through the Orthodox Eish HaTorah yeshiva in Jerusalem. Their idea is to strengthen the Jewish identity of the state of Israel, the connection between Israel and the diaspora, and a fearless Judaism that does not back down, that is proud of itself, as the people I've mentioned, Lizzie Savetsky, Shabbos Kestenbaum, and others represent so nicely. Next is American Forum for Israel, associated with Avigdor Lieberman's Yisrael Beitenu party. They are hardcore pro-Israel. They do believe that Jews have the right to live everywhere in Israel, including Judea and Samaria. They are not necessarily similar to the religious bloc, but the American Forum for Israel, that's what they represent. It's the Avigdor Lieberman party, strong pro-Israel, tough on many things, but not necessarily religious. Am Yisrael Chai, what a name. Yes, there's a list called Am Yisrael Chai. They were founded post-October 7th. This is a group that is mostly focused on young people. How important? Very important. College students, Am Yisrael Chai, people who want to bring vitality to the Zionist movement, people who want to bring young people in, people who want to get the younger generation proud and involved in the Zionist project. Next is the ANU, A-N-U. It's a new movement. It's a Gen Z motivated movement. These are people who are passionate about Zionism. They believe in the need to strengthen Israel not only as a Jewish state, but also as a democratic state. We've seen that be a big issue over the past 2 years. And so the ANU movement is getting Gen Z involved. It's left-leaning. They believe in a two-state solution and the need to strengthen Israeli democracy. Beyachad, together, how important. Beyachad is mostly motivated by the American-Russian Jewish community. It's people who want to strengthen the connection with the state of Israel and give representation, how important, to the American-Russian Jewish community, have their voice heard in the Zionist movement. Remember, Russian Jews were of the backbone of the Zionist movement throughout from 1897 and more, so that's the Beyachad movement. Dorshei Torah Vetzion is an Orthodox group, but some associate it, well, it is associated with the Open Orthodox movement, Rabbi Avi Weiss, Sarah Horowitz, and others who believe in an Orthodox approach to Judaism, but also a more pluralistic one where there's a voice given to a broader array of voices, women's leadership, etc. That is this movement. Eretz HaKodesh. This is a movement associated with Haredi Judaism. Eretz HaKodesh seeks to make Israel in line with the Haredi parties in Israel. They are a movement that you may associate with closing public transportation on Shabbat and really the hardcore Haredi type of movement. Not going to say my thoughts about this, but it's more on the Haredi side. Not clear how much Zionism there is there, but it is the Eretz HaKodesh movement. They believe in the holiness of the land. Last time there was an election, they got 16% of the vote. Why? Because they mobilized. They got a lot of people out to vote, and they secured 16% of the vote for this. That is the Eretz HaKodesh movement. Hatikva is a liberal Zionist group. You may associate it with J Street. It's more on the left-wing side, and it's associated with Reconstructionist Judaism and the more liberal aspects of the Zionist movement. That is the Hatikva, sounds like the anthem of Israel, Hatikva, J Street, Reconstructionists. They are also running. Cherut, the Cherut movement, if you didn't know about this, you need to read more history. It is the Jabotinsky, hardline, revisionist type of Zionism. Today, you might associate it more with the Likud, Benjamin Netanyahu. That is the Cherut movement. It is the Jabotinsky revisionist right-wing movement running for the World Zionist Organization. Israel 365. This is a hardcore Zionist movement, but it's also associated with some elements of Christian Zionism. They honor Steve Bannon, and they are believe in one state, no Palestinian statehood, and just a very strong state of Israel across the territories of Israel. And that's the Israel 365. Hardcore, very strong Zionists, sometimes Christian Zionists affiliated. That's 365. IAC. IAC, I say this with a big smile because I know a lot of people there. You know a lot of people there. The American-Israeli Council. The American-Israeli Council associates Americans who came to Israel, to the United States from Israel. Fun fact, there are around 800,000 of those, and the IAC is running to represent the voice of American Israelis with the World Zionist Organization. Next is the Kol Yisrael movement. They also have their celebrities. You may know Montana Tucker, Shai Davidai, people who are staunchly pro-Israel, who have been much more active since October 7th. That is this group, extraordinary people. Kol Israel, it's the people who are staunchly Zionist, especially since October 7th. They are not going to be quiet anymore. They speak out for Israel, but it's more on the liberal side of Judaism. Merkaz USA is going to be easier for you to understand. Very simple. The conservative movement, the Masorti movement of Judaism, that is who they are. Merkaz Israel, Masorti, conservative. You know who they are. If you're affiliated with a conservative organization, if you go to a conservative synagogue, that is them. Orthodox Coalition, Orthodox Israel Coalition, or as many of you may know it, Mizrahi. Fun fact, full disclosure, my grandfather was the president of the Mizrahi movement in the United States, but that was in the 1960s. Mizrahi, you know what it is. It's religious Zionists, Kibbutz Srugot. It's the people who are extraordinarily devoted to the state of Israel. In Israel, they're serving in the army. They're on the front lines. That is the Mizrahi. They believe in Israel, but they believe in a strong need for a Jewish identity for Israel. It's the Mizrahi. It's Orthodox, but it is staunchly Zionist. No questions about that. Shas Olami. Shas stands in Israel for the political party of Aryeh Deri, which is Shomrei Torah Sfaradim. You're missing the tough in there, but it's Shomrei Torah Sfaradim. It's people who are Sephardic from Mideastern countries often, and also very devoted to Judaism. In many cases, you would consider it Haredi. All the Knesset members from Shas are on the Haredi side, but it's for Sephardic, staunchly religious, and Shomrei Torah Sfaradim. It corresponds with the Shas movement in Israel. Vision is a Jewish movement pro-Israel. They do not believe in a two-state solution, and they believe in Jewish liberation, identity, and Israel's legitimacy on campus. Very important. That is Vision, and they appeal especially to young Jews. This one is very easy. Vote Reform. You know what the Reform movement is. You know what Reform Judaism is. If you went to one of their camps or one of their schools or go to their synagogue, you know what it is. Vote Reform is, I gotta say, one of the only movements, one of the only ones on this list who you can understand what it is by just looking at the name. And shout out to them for doing that because it's sometimes hard. Vote Reform, it's the Reform movement. Lastly, ZOA Coalition, the Zionist Organization of America. Very, very well-known organization, actually one of the most old Zionist organizations in the world, not as old as the World Jewish Congress, but it was a World Zionist organization, but it's pretty well known. Before signing off, I just wanted to give a shout out to Asaf Eliashalev, whose excellent article in the JTA I used, and it helped me to make this video to understand what each group is about. If you want to look up everything I said, JTA, Asaf Shalev, amazing article about this. Who cares who you vote for? The bottom line is vote. You got to make sure you vote. You have to have your voice heard. Folks, we're in a new world. It's a post-October 7th world. Make sure you are part of the Zionist movement. Make sure you stand with the Jewish people. Make sure you get involved. And wishing you all a lovely, lovely, lovely Shabbat Shalom from New Haven.